It's time for an inside look at the most powerful motorsport on the planet. WFO Radio, NHRA Nitro.
It's the most exciting sport on earth as far as I'm concerned.
Take a walk through the Nitro pits as we go one-on-one with the stars of drag racing.
Hey, you're with Matt Hagan. This is Ron Capps, Matt Hagan's personal friend. You're on WFO.
Featuring the NHRA's Alan Reinhart.
Our events are truly an experience. They're not just a spectator event. They are an experience.
So get in, sit down, and hold on with host Joe Castello as he goes WFO.
Thanks, brother. Always love being on WFO, baby. Nobody brings it to you better than you, brother.
Now crank it up. It's time to go WFO. Here's your host, Joe Castello.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. WFO Radio Podcast back on the air. Get ready for the Dodge Nationals in Vegas. Hashtag Vegas Nats.
Vegas, baby, Vegas!
2 races to go. This is where I love to use the word penultimate, as in there's 2 to go, the one before the final one. And championships are on the line. We're going to have great guests this week. We're going to catch up with Matt Hagan. Matt Hagan won the most recent race out there, the AAA of Texas Fall Nationals. Kind of thrust himself back into the possible realm of championship. It's going to take a lot of help. It's going to take some things happening. But we're going to catch up with Hagan and find out what he has to say about it. Also, we're going to hear from Brittany Force. Brittany Force is right in the middle of it all. 46 points out of the lead. That is less than 2 rounds if you consider points and a half out there in Pomona. With 2 races to go, a lot can change, especially the way the upsets have been falling over the first 4 races of the NHRA Countdown. So exciting. And also, I know everybody always thinks that when the countdown comes, it's all about the countdown racers. And nobody else gets any love, and if you don't make the countdown, you don't exist. I know that that sentiment exists. And so I thought about who is running well, who really can score a win, and who really needs a win, and who would have earned a win in these final 2 races. That's an interesting story. And so we reached out to Pro Stock motorcycle racer Steve Johnson. Steve, who had to miss races early on in the season, and then was number 1 qualifier after coming back in Charlotte, and has been running real well, has had a quick and fast bike. You know, what did he do? What did he learn? Alan actually had him on his pre-race interview show a few weeks ago, and Steve said some things, got me curious, and so now we're going to have Steve Johnson on for a deep dive. And we will speak with Steve about his season, his career, what he's learned, what's up, and whether or not he can make it all worth it by winning one of the last 2 races. So we'll have Brittany Force, Matt Hagan, Steve Johnson, all on this week's show, plus Alan Reinhart, just seconds away as we get ready for Vegas, followed by the SEMA show, followed by the second Vegas race, as in Vegas, Pomona, and then on to Pomona for the Auto Club Finals, where championships will be decided. I'll be at both races. Hopefully you're coming on out. And WFO Radio is brought to you by a couple of great sponsors. I like to name check them at the start of every show. I know a lot of you podcast listeners, you're like, hey, man, I don't want to hear about any sponsors. But these are great people like the folks at samtech.edu. I know you've been listening to Factory Stock Podcast, and that final edition with Drew Skillman and Chris Holbrook was amazing. Brian Massengill has done a great job. But really, most importantly, it's all about the next generation of Americans learning a trade with which they can pursue happiness. Whether that be as a guy who goes to work at a machine shop every day and then goes home, punches a clock, and goes home and does his own thing, that's fine. Or maybe you end up working on a race team. Maybe you actually become a high-performance engine builder. All of these things are possible. Plus, the folks at Samtech, Motorsport EFI Tuning, they've got an Associate of Applied Science degree. They're military-friendly for those that are eligible for the GI Bill. All of these things are true at samtech.edu. Most importantly, they can place you somewhere that you can get a job. Get a job. Samtech.edu. Marvin Rodak and Rodak'sCoffeeandGrills.com. Fort Worth, Texas. We were just down in his part of the country. Sells barbecue grills. Has got a great little showroom. All kinds of condiments. Got great condiments, the hot sauces and the spice rubs, and all kinds of amazing things. Like there's a chimichurri sauce that he has imported from Argentina, which it's a red chimichurri, which is like, what is that all about? And I tried it, and it was incredible. Incredible. Marvin, I want some more of that, by the way. It was insane great. He's got all of these things, and he knows about so many things. So go to RodaxCoffeeandGrills.com. Pound of coffee, bottle of hot sauce, spice rub in a package, holiday pack. That's what I send to all my people that I want to send a cool gift to, and they all love it. Marvin Rodax, coffeeandgrills.com. Give him a call, 817-924-6821, located in Fort Worth, Texas. Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. This is a big one. First of all, Brittany is a graduate of Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School. She's going to be on the show, but you just got to think about all the great young drivers. Jordan Vandegrift, Austin Prock, etc. Great young drivers that graduated from Hawley's. But this is not, when I talk about the Dragster Adventure, I'm talking about something that's an experience that you go on. 130 miles per hour in the quarter mile, 0 to 60 in 3 seconds. You can even set up side-by-side drag racing if you want for, like, your sales team of 8 guys. Like, who's going to be the best? You can do that. Your best clients. It makes a great gift. Or if you just want to say forget everybody, well, then you go on your own. Courses start at $399. You get a half-track, 2 full-track passes. You show up with nothing. They take care of everything, and it travels around the country. 866-480-7223 for FrankHawley.com. MagicDryUS.com, the official organic absorbent of the NHRA. You know, Scott Palmer never looked more proud than when he put Lee Calloway in the show. I got to say that. Magic Dry been on board with Palmer all year long, doing a great job, supporting WFO radio. If you've got a big shop, if you've got a small shop, if you work on an oil rig, the stuff is lighter and it absorbs more. And it's all natural, made of coconut, thus organically friendly. Why would you get anything else? MagicDryUS.com. Go to the website. They got spill kits. And finally, TotalSeal.com, the leader in ring seal technology. We are working on a series of podcasts for Total Seal. The first episode will feature Jason Line. And we're going to delve into the deep world of piston rings and why they're important. But you can imagine, they're very important. Now, what do you drive? Do you have an F1 car parked in the driveway? They make rings from F1 to NASCAR to IndyCar to drag racing to Supercross, motocross, and go-karts. If it has a piston, they make the ring. And totally customized. Go to TotalSeal.com to find out more if you're an engine builder and you don't already use Total Seal. Get in on this, TotalSeal.com. These are the people that make WFO Radio possible. Also, Drag Racing Edge Magazine and EV3 Drag Racing for your mobile device. Thrilled to have them on board as a cross-promotional sponsor. And we are super excited. Now, remember, the season does not end when racing ends after the finals. So many people like to check out because they're exhausted. Not WFO. We are definitely exhausted, but we're not going to check out. We're going to continue to drive the stories each week. We're going to find out who's what in the silly season and who's going where. Big news like all kinds of stuff. Mike Neff going to Tasca full-time. That's really a foregone conclusion. Now he gets to wear the shirt. Joining us now, he'll be calling the action out there in Vegas, baby, the penultimate Mellow Yellow Series race. Alan Reinhart is back. Alan, welcome back. Only 2 to go. That's a little bit of a bummer right there.
Well, I count it as 3 because it's Vegas, Pomona. That regional race in between the 2 nationals is a major, so I count that as 3.
There you go. So 3 to go then. Vegas, Pomona, something that gets discussed all year long, and now it is upon us, which means the end of the season, the conclusion, but it is certainly exciting in all categories. Some championships have been decided. The Lucas Oil categories are going to either go down to this weekend, probably the points race, and then on to Pomona. Only few drivers have an opportunity to win it. As much fun as this race is very intense.
Yeah, it really is. And, there's just a lot of different things going on. And, again, that's one of the things that I think makes the regional race so interesting is, there will be cars from all over the country. And since the regional race doesn't have specific quotas on, how many cars can enter stock or how many cars can enter super gas, and at that point you always end up with drivers literally that are on just such completely different paths. You've got one guy who's trying to lock up a top 10 finish for Division 3, while another guy's trying to lock up the world or move up into the top 5 or do something. And it's really fun to watch. But, it all starts with the Nationals. That's where the groundwork will be laid.
And SEMA show, big part of it as well. We always have a huge crowd for this race because all the motorsports or high performance, or even not even high performance, just car enthusiasts from around the world have got a bullseye on Vegas, and we are right in the middle of it. plus the Halloween, the tradition of the costumes. The schedule is a little different this year. We're actually, a week later than years previous?
Well, the downside for this year is because Halloween falls on a Thursday, and that kind of throws us off a little bit there. So, Halloween will be celebrated before we start it, and that's actually kind of bad news for the fans because that's going to mean that we're not going to be able to do our traditional fan fest down on Fremont Street. They simply have so much stuff going on for Halloween that there wasn't a way for us to get in and do our typical things. So that's going to go on hiatus for a year, but we've already got the dates locked down to bring it back next year. And, I'm kind of mixed feelings about that. I love going down and doing the Fremont Street thing, but I also think that that'll put a little bit more focus on the intense battles that we've got for the championships now in all 4 categories.
And from what I understand, the teams that like to dress their cars up, Bo Butner, Randy Lynn, Derek Kramer, Alan Brzezinski, everyone, the whole Pro Stock motorcycle class. From what I understand, they are going to just observe Halloween anyway, even though it has already passed or will have already passed.
Well, it's still Halloween weekend, and I think there are a lot of people that are going to use Halloween on Thursday as an excuse to make it a weekend-long party. I doubt that Fremont Street will be any quieter on Friday and Saturday than it's going to be on Thursday, so I think the rest of the town will probably be like that as well. And I'm hoping, at least, that the Pro Stock Motorcycle Brigade still does their Friday night tradition.
I hope so, too. And plus, we've got our Friday night Nitro Primetime, which will be fun and exciting. And this has quickly become one of my favorite races on the tour. I've been following the Jeff Foster social media, get ready tweets and Facebook posts. It has been very exciting and fun to watch. All right, so let's dive into the Mellow Yellow Series. We did have, just so everybody knows, we have scenarios in the Lucas Oil Series categories, and there are still some things that are percolating that need to happen, and a lot of them are going to kick over to the divisional race, and so we'll focus on the Mellow Yellow Series primarily. I'm going to try to talk to Brittany Force this week, Alan, because I feel like, she and Steve have got this great history. Steve was on his way to a championship. He crashed in Texas. She goes on an amazing run, wins her championship. Brittany is a championship driver. Well, here she is again, just 46 points back. And Doug Coletta between them, Steve Torrence out first round. This is a pivotal race, and any one of those 3 drivers could lead with a points lead.
You are correct, and I think the words first round are the key. You've got to be able to win first round. Steve now has 2 first-round losses, and somehow he's still in the point lead in the countdown. And what that tells you is that the competition has been so strong that nobody has really been able to take charge. The only person with 2 wins in the countdown so far is Billy Torrance. And fortunately for Steve, or unfortunately for Capco, Billy just got into the countdown in the number 10 spot. So he's leapfrogged a bunch of guys, but still has a lot of work to do. And
this is a race that Terry McMillan got his first race win here over Brittany red lighting in that final round. And it's not a lot of strange things can happen here. I know that Dallas had a lot of first-round craziness, but I am not giving that all to Dallas. There is potential for calamity here as well.
Well, it really starts in qualifying. If you qualify in the 1, 2, or 3 spot, you probably are going to have a little bit better draw than if you qualify in the 5, 6, 7, or 8 spot. It's as simple as that. So, Friday night could be key again. That was really the magic in Dallas, was because Friday night conditions were better. And if you got a good run on Friday, that puts you in a good position on the ladder. If you did not get a good run on Friday, then you definitely had your work cut out for you come Sunday. And I mean, starting in the first round. And we saw that with the Capco cars, which ended up 4th and 5th. Had they both advanced out of the first round, they would have raced each other second round. And that's certainly not the scenario that they're looking for, or anybody out there with a teammate for that matter.
Yes, certainly. And we have seen it early on with Doug Coletta and Richie Crampton. Doug Coletta, 33 points back. This has been it's been an interesting season for Doug Coletta in that he won Indy. So it's a win of a season already. He got one of the 2 things that has eluded him in his great career. But now, 2 races to go, 33 points back. They've got to be burning the midnight oil over there at Coletta Motorsports to try to convert. If he goes out there and, a win and a runner-up, there's a good chance at a championship.
Well, he's definitely a good car right now. They really just, they need to deliver. And I don't know if I'm them that I do anything different. You talk about, in the playoff times that, well, you double down or you dig deeper or you do whatever. I don't think you do anything different. I think you kind of ride the horse that got you to this point. You can't go up there and start being more aggressive, less aggressive. I think you've got to stay in your comfort zone. So it'll be fun to watch. I think with Justin Ashley entered this weekend, I think that's going to be interesting. Corey Mack definitely didn't have the kickoff that he wanted for his retirement tour last week, so he's going to be up with a vengeance. Sean Reed on the entry list as well. We're going to have a solid field of top fuel cars out there. And as I said, it starts with qualifying. You need to get yourself a good spot in qualifying, and that'll make it a little bit easier on you down the line.
And I think that all championships, we're seeing it in the World Series, right, where the Nationals win the first two and then the Astros come storming back, and, being a great team and all of those things. But like you just mentioned, you get out of your comfort zone and all of a sudden you're not doing the things that got you there. And also some crazy things factor in. Do you get the bounce? Do you get the break? Do things go your way? The winning a championship is like a mysterious concoction.
It is. You've got to have a good car. You've got to minimize your mistakes, and you need to have a little bit of good fortune. How many times did we talk about last year when Steve was on the string that, when he needs to be good, he's good. And when he needs a little good fortune, he's getting a little good fortune. And sometimes the stars just align and you can't seem to do anything wrong. Tell me another round this year that a 3:19 reaction time in top fuel would have won the final. But yet, Billy Torrance got away with it. And so, it's one of those things that, when you need to be good, you're good. And when you need to get the bounce or the break, you do.
So we're going to have a great field of top fuelers. Funny car, similar situation. The championship may be a little more spread out in funny car. Robert Hight, if he goes on to win the championship, it makes perfect sense. He was dominant from the start of the season, then maybe went away a little bit. 70-point lead over Beckman and Force, 74 over Force. But they got to avoid that first round out like you were just talking about. That is the mission for them. You get to the semis, each of these last two races, and they'll be looking pretty well for the title.
I think you're right. 1.5 points in Pomona certainly opens up the possibilities. It's going to make it very, very difficult to clinch here. But I like Robert Hight right now. I like the way his car's running. I like the position they're in. I like the mindset. And they're out there, as they always are, with a take no prisoners attitude. Let's go try to run low ET of every round. And, so far it seems to be working. They've got a good car. It's responding to what Jimmy Prock and Chris Cunningham are telling it to do. Could they be caught? Yes. But at this point, it really would surprise me.
It would be. It would take a big effort. We're going to hear from Matt Hagan, who won in Dallas, and we're going to speak with him about that. He's 112 out, so really he needs to win these next two races and get help, which just shows you the challenge of the deal. You got to win and get some help, some breaks, an early out from Robert or Beckman or one or the other in either or of the last two races. But they've got a good car, and so Hagan can definitely ruin some lives.
They do have a good car, but I think as we've talked about so many times over the course of the countdown, I just don't see Robert, Jack, and John all going out first round, or even all three of them being out by second round. Now, were that to happen and Hagan was to go on and win the race, then he certainly puts himself right in the middle of the conversation. I just don't see all three of those having a bad day at the same time. And to tell you the truth, Beckman needs to break his every other race string. He's been good one race, out early the next race, good one race, out early the next race. And he really needs to break that string if he wants to remain a legitimate contender.
Yes, 70 points back, 2 races to go. You got to get the job done, and you got to take advantage of all opportunities. And qualifying points, part of it too. You mentioned the Friday night session or late afternoon session out there in Vegas, which starts out in Q1. And they've told us several times over the course of the year. So the excitement is brewing now. In terms of guys who can win the championship, yes, it's been limited dramatically to just a couple of racers. But still the fight for position in the top 10, that's something. You'd rather have a 7 than a 9. I know we like to be all about winning and all. But if you're Sean Langdon, Tommy Johnson, J.R. Todd, Rod Capps, those guys, every round still matters. You're still fighting.
Oh, it absolutely does. And, 5th pays better than 6th. And 6th pays better than 7th. It's not life-changing money, especially for one of these teams. But a lot of them have part of a bonus program, have part of, if you're going to take home a bonus check at the end of the year, wouldn't you rather have a couple of extra bucks if they're there to be had? So, the further you stand to the left on stage, and you also look at, a guy like Matt Hagan, who is used to contending for a championship every year. He's used to being in the mix every year. And last year, I believe it's finished with 8th last year. And did you notice the number he's running on the car this year?
Yeah, his car number.
It's his competition number, not number 8. Because, he basically said, I don't want people to look at us and think number 8. He said, that's embarrassing to me. That's embarrassing to our team. So he went with his competition number, which is 2814. But, 8 wasn't something he's proud of. And so there's something to be said for that as well. If you've never finished in the top 10 before, then you know what? 10th is great. 8th is great. Anything. If it's your career best, that's good. But if you're used to being a championship contending team, then, you don't want to be out of the top 5 if you can help it. And that's what they're fighting for right now.
A very Don the Snake thing to do.
Absolutely. And Ron Capps is exactly the same way because, all those years driving for the Snake. And for anyone who doesn't know the story, Don, his philosophy when he was racing was, if you're not the champion, it doesn't matter. And so he never ran any number on his car except number 1 when he was the champion, or number 712, which was his competition number. If he finished second, if he finished third, his number the next year would be 712 because if he wasn't a champion, it didn't matter. He didn't fulfill his goal.
Yes, and that is such a drag racing attitude. You're out there to win the title, and he certainly won many, and someone will win it this year. We don't know exactly who it's going to be, but we know a selection of drivers who may. Pro Stock, Erica Enders, Matt Hartford, Jeg Coughlin. Jeg kind of like, clawing his way into this. He's Jeg, and we never overlook him. He's had a quick and fast car, hasn't won a race in the countdown yet, hasn't won a race yet, but he's there. He's in the neighborhood.
He is. And, when he is, look out because he's, obviously he's tremendous behind the wheel. Some would tell you he's the best ever. He's certainly going to be in the conversation no matter what. Erica, a very unusual, pretty early exit for her last weekend in combination of Greg Anderson's 003 light. And, her performance fell off a little bit. But, I'm kind of keeping my eye on Matt Hartford. I still think that Erica's got the best car, and I've said over and over that, she's mad, and when she's got a good car and she's driving mad, then she's going to be very difficult to pass. But how about Matt Hartford, a guy that never would have ever had a chance to be in this position if it wasn't for the fact that they trimmed this racing season from 24 to 18 because he simply couldn't commit to the 24 race season. But he could stretch his schedule a little bit, make it 18, and that he is in a position right now that he might never have this shot again. So they're pulling out all the stops if you can do that in Pro Stock. And he's been very, very candid about the fact that, they're trying to be more aggressive. And if we shake or if we rattle or if we do something, that's fine. But we're not going to go up there and just flat get outrun. If we think there's another 100th of a second in the car, we're going to do what we can to try to get it out because we may never have a shot at this again. And coming in only 28 points out of the lead, I think is fascinating. I also think it's fascinating that the top 3 cars are all elite powered machines, and the next 4 cars are all KB powered machines.
Yes, that is interesting. Then you got an elite with Alex Laughlin, and then you got McGahey ninth, and Val running that Iaconio power. But yes, there are 2 dominant power brokers. Literally in Pro Stock. On the Hartford point, I've done these Total Seal videos over the course of the year, and hopefully the listeners have all checked them out. And they're pretty cool in that I get to do something on a Pro Stock car, so I've got to know the guys over there real well. It is a very cool, the Cinderella story aspect of it, but they've been strong all year, and they've been building and getting better and building confidence. We say it all the time that knowing you can do it is worth something, and they know that they can do it, and they like the idea, not that they're overlooked, that's not it, but that they are a team that is like grit and determination, and they're wrecking some shop out there. Sitting second, if you don't care about Pro Stock and you're looking for some reason to care, they could be your team.
You're right about that, and I think overlooked is kind of a good way to put it. The insiders all know what they've been doing all year, and obviously, we know where he fits in the points and what he's been doing behind the wheel, which is a solid job. But for those that don't, they look at the top 5 in points and go, okay, I don't even know who that guy is, but I do know Erica, I do know Jag, I do know Jason, and you could just kind of overlook him, and I think he's fine with that. I think he's fine with playing the underdog role, where he doesn't necessarily have a huge crowd at the back of his trailer. He isn't necessarily mobbed by the autograph seekers. He's just going to work, and people come by and want to get a picture with him. He'll certainly take the time to do that, but he's definitely flying as far below the radar as you can, being only 28 points out of the lead. But what they need to figure out a way to do is minimize the little points, because Erica is killing them with those little points.
Yeah. Well, I mean, how many has she gotten? Over 20, right? And she's got a 28-point lead. So in eliminations, they're about equal.
Yeah, and I believe she's got close to 40 of those little points. I don't have it right in front of me, but she has been absolutely killing them with the little points. And if she wins the championship, which she's got a very good shot at doing, that's going to be a big part of how she did it.
Amazing stuff. Pro Stock going to be so interesting. And remember, we have 7 drivers all within 100 points, so there's going to be a lot of moving and maneuvering. And that first-round bug, right? Like, when does it bite? And if it bites you, you are in trouble. If you're at the bottom, like a Greg Anderson or a Bo, a first-round out means it's all pretty much over, and now you're just scrapping for whatever you can get. And if you're Jeg, Matt, or Erica, and you're near the top, it could allow a freight train to go flying on by. And you don't want that with only 2 races to go out there in Vegas. Pro Stock Motorcycle, this is the one that, each year I always get excited, like, oh, man, this could be a great battle. And this year, Andrew Hines dominated the season, and he's 81 points up with 2 races to go. It's going to be really hard for Andrew, who is a machine and the winningest of all time in the category, to not come home the champ.
Correct. But, again, the first round out, if something happens, Karen's got a really good motorcycle right now. Jerry's got a really good motorcycle right now. Who would have believed that coming into the last 2 races of the season, the 2 hottest motorcycles on the tour are both Suzukis? How long has it been since we've even said the best motorcycle on the racetrack is a Suzuki? And that's becoming pretty much a weekly thing. And even though he's not in the countdown to the championship, I think from the credit where credit's due department, on one given run, Steve Johnson has got a bike that can go out there and run with or in front of anybody. So he might be a little bit of a wild card in the deck, depending on what qualifying happens and where they match up. But, I guarantee you, I don't care if I'm Andrew or if I'm Karen or if I'm Jerry. If I'm looking at the ladder and I've got Steve Johnson in the second round, that's not a gimme. That's something you got to definitely pay attention to. So I think it's Andrew's to lose. I don't expect him to lose it. Those guys just simply don't make many mistakes. But he's still got to go out there and close the deal. The good thing for Andrew is mentally, he never gets rattled. He never gets upset. He never gets overly excited. He's just keep your head down, keep your eye on the prize, and go accomplish the job that you set out to do. That's what he's done his whole career, and that's what he's doing again this time.
Let's drill down on a point that you just made that I find interesting, in that, some people don't like the fact that we get wrapped up in the championship discussion, right? Like, you didn't make the countdown, so you don't exist. It's all about this top 10, and they're going for the championship, and whoever wins the championship, that's the person we focus on. And I get why some people feel that way. When you got guys like, Ryan Ayler, he's got a fast bike. Like, they have put up some big numbers, and they got 2 races to win a race. Otherwise, they got to go to the winter break, and they got to wait till Gainesville, right? Steve Johnson's got the best bike he's had in a long, long time. And you got 2 more chances, Steve. Otherwise, what difference does it make, right? You ran well, but you didn't win. He's got to get a win. He's got to bring home a Wally, some sort of tangible, reward for the smart decisions they made and learning those lessons you told us about, noticing the details. You got to get a win. Otherwise, what's the point? Angel, the season on a Harley, right? Like, wow, she's getting better and better. She's got 2 races to go. Scotty Polachek has been fast. But if you don't win, and I think that desperation to get a win in these final 2 races, that's going to be an interesting story to follow.
You're right. There are definitely some people on some different short-term goals out there, and picking one up before the end of the season would be big. I don't think anybody thought that putting Angel on a Harley, we'd be at this point of the season and she wouldn't have probably multiple wins. Of course, working against her as well as everybody else, the fact that Andrew Hines has been such a trophy hog, he just hasn't left many on the table for anybody else. And then as of late, Jerry and Karen have been so hot that, it's just been crazy out there right now. But, I think that Angel will be disappointed if she doesn't win one before the end of the year. And as you said, she's definitely running out of time. I do think that, for Steve Johnson, his program has got a real shot in the arm. And if he wins one of the next couple, I think that's great. And I don't think it would come as a stunning surprise to anybody, simply because he has been running so well as of late. But I also think that he has put some stuff in place going forward. I think that he now realizes he's got a program that can be competitive going forward, and I don't think he's realized that for 3 or 4 years. So no matter whether he wins or doesn't win, coming up here on the end of this year, I think that he's made a statement and is going to take a positive out of the second half of this season, whether he wins or not. Scotty, how long do we have to keep saying Scotty is the best bike out there that hasn't won until he finally wins, and we can talk about something else? And the answer is we don't know the answer to that question just yet.
And it's been a bizarre year in that Eddie Krawiec doesn't have a win. He got a whole bunch of runner-ups, but it just hasn't gone his way. It's been a bit of a strange and interesting year in pro stock motorcycle. And
I'm sorry, Joe. I just pulled this up while we were sitting here chit-chatting. Matt Smith has won. Hector Jr. has won. We're talking wins on the year.
Yes.
And other than that, it's been all Andrew Hines and the Alligator team. That's it. So yeah, they haven't left a whole lot of crumbs for anybody else out there.
That is amazing. Well, the start of the season for Andrew Hines, I remember. I think we were at Norwalk, and he had already tied his career high for wins on a season. It was like, whoa. So he's been able to keep the pressure on in the countdown, and that's what matters. But yes, we'd love to see somebody get their first win, whether it be Ryan Ayler or Scotty Polachek or Angel on a Harley or who knows. But you got to beat the man if you want to be the man or woman, as it turns out. Alan, we're going to Vegas, baby.
Right now, you got to beat an alligator bike.
Yes, you got to beat an alligator, which is one man and one woman. Jerry has been good, and Karen has been strong as well. Still sitting second in the point standings. We can't count her out because she's got a bike that can win, and she's within a mathematical shot of Andrew. But boy, it would be good for her if she could get next to Andrew for second round.
It certainly would, and she certainly looks like she's on pace to have her best career finish ever. But I don't think they're going to go home disappointed no matter how the season ends. But I also think that right now they've got one of the two best bikes on the property, and her teammate has the other one. So those two race each other in the next two final rounds. If they can get Andrew out early one time, who knows what could happen.
Exactly. This past weekend, the California Hot Rod Reunion, the nostalgia scene, which I am aware of and interested in, but I couldn't be further away from it geographically, so that is my challenge. Nostalgia Funny Car, it was Bobby Cottrell and Mendy Fry wins again in Top Fuel. That's kind of an interesting break. A lot of the big show guys go down there, hang out, and gather around, and it looks awesome visibly, like these fuel altereds, etc. But now it's back to the big show stuff. 3 races remaining, 2 of which will be Mellow Yellow Series, and then the banquet.
Looking forward to it. I'm absolutely looking forward to getting out to Vegas and kicking the whole thing off. I spent this last weekend out in Indiana on some other business, so looking forward to getting back to the racetrack.
Very exciting. Alan, great job as usual. Thank you so much for starting us off right here on WFO Radio Podcast. Won't be long. We'll be out there in Vegas. It's going to be a whole lot of fun. Alan, thank you so much.
My pleasure. Travel safe, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks, Alan. The voice of the NHRA, Alan Reinhart, joins us each week right here at WFO Radio Podcast. Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Great ways to listen to WFO Radio on your mobile device. And hey, all you folks out there, you're already listening. So I'm preaching to the choir. You guys are already listening. But there are so many people out there that they don't know that the device that they carry in their pocket does more than just take pictures and call people. Why don't you help one of them? It doesn't even have to be this podcast. How about a podcast? You know they're a racing person. You know they're going to a bracket race somewhere. You know they're going to be over to the road for 2 hours, need to kill some time, work in a shop. Hey, you want to hear some drivers get interviewed? Let's listen to Matt Hagan, Brittany Force, Steve Johnson, Alan Reinhart, all of these things. Plus the host is pretty good too and has got a show called Ignition that you will all love. Matt Hagan going to delve into the win. Brittany going to talk championship. Steve Johnson going to talk about his whole season and really his whole life in Pro Stock Motorcycle. Great interviews this week, and also proud of the Ignition Show in that we just covered it all. Thanks to the folks at TotalSeal.com, the leader in ring seal technology, of course, MagicDryUS.com, Frank Hawley's Drag Racing School, Marvin Rodak and his amazing. Did I just order that? I think I did. I ordered the chimichurri, kind of. Not really. But you got to get in on it. Like, what you need to do is call Marvin and ask him about some of these amazing condiments that he's got there, and he'll set you up. And samtech.edu, the School of Automotive Machinists and Technology. Be sure to subscribe to Factory Stock Podcast as well. And the podcasting, theme, right? The medium that is podcasting. WFO Radio has been doing it for 10 years. Coming up on the day of the 10th anniversary, which is like right after the Auto Club Finals. We're in our 10th year, and the 10th anniversary is coming up. It's been a great year. We've done some changes. Had a lot of fans reach out. Remember, you can get WFO shirts in the Nitro Fish trailer. The 10th anniversary shirt. I'm getting reports they're almost gone. So, got to get in on that. The 10th anniversary shirt at Nitro Fish Trailer or nitrofishracing.com. I will be in Vegas. I'm excited about Vegas. I'll be talking about it throughout these interviews. And then we'll be there. So, get ready. More WFO ready to drop.
WFO! The views and opinions of the hosts, guests, or callers do not necessarily reflect that of the station ownership, advertisers, or agencies.
I love WFO Radio.
Oh, yeah.
Attention adrenaline junkies, Frank Hawley's Dragster Adventure is calling you. Rides available for the 2020 season. Go to frankhawley.com. They're coming to a track near you. It makes a great gift, and you know the holidays are coming, whether it be licensing for Super Comp, Super Gas, all the way up to Top Alcohol, they can do it. But if you're a drag racing fan and you've always imagined what it might be like to drive a dragster, to accelerate 0 to 60 in 3 seconds and run 10s in the quarter mile, give them a call. 866-480-7223, frankhawley.com, the Dragster Adventure, and tell them you heard it on WFO. Hey, engine builders, Total Seal piston rings are the leader in ring seal technology, and they go out of their way to help their customers and will make custom sets for any specific piston you might have. Customer service, top notch. Made in America? Absolutely. They're located in Phoenix, Arizona, and they've got everything it takes to develop the world's best piston rings. Give them a call at 800-874-2753 or go to TotalSeal.com. You're working in the shop, you've got spills, you've spilled oil, it's everywhere. What are you going to do? I know what you're going to do, but that's not the best way to do it. The best way to do it is to go to MagicDryUS.com and order the official organic absorbent of the National Hot Rod Association, Magic Dry. It's lighter, it absorbs more, it's better for the environment. It's made out of coconut. It's made in America. MagicDryUS.com. They've got spill kits that include everything you need for a regular, normal household spill, all the way up to a large industrial spill. We always say, if you've got a cat, get Cat Spot. If you've got a shop, if you've got a factory, if you've got a spill, call Magic Dry. That's MagicDryUS.com.
Subscribe to WFO Radio on iTunes. Never miss a show. And don't forget to write a review. WFO.
This is WFO Radio.